Good evening. My name is Kathy Pitts. In my audience today I have Tony Pitts,
Hello.
Jerry Pitts,
Hello.
and Justin Pitts.
Hello.
I would like to talk with you today about shelter dogs to service dogs, salvaging useful animals. Many of you have pets in your own home, and you may have euthanized one, but I would like to share my experience with you. Zoe was our beagle, pet beagle. She was 13. Justin brought her home one day. The tip of her tail was broken and nobody else wanted her. So he asked if we could keep her, and we did. Last year, Zoe developed kidney failure and suffered greatly, and we made a decision to put her to sleep. So we took her to our vet's office. I was at her head, and Justin was standing beside her, petting her. And they gave her the medication. Her pupils dilated, her nares flared, and she took one big breath and she was gone. But during that process, I was telling her that I loved her and what a good dog she was. The point of this speech is to persuade my audience of the need for more correctional facilities to implement service dog training programs that utilize shelter or rescue dogs. We've had strays and shelter dogs in our home for the past 25 years. I've read numerous articles and watched numerous videos about these service dogs, shelter dogs. Katherine Hagel, who is an actress, has taken up the stance for shelter dogs, and she hosts a program called Shelter Me that is shown on PBS. I interviewed a Dr. Jan Bartles, who is a retired veterinarian from Auburn University. He works with their research program where they utilize service dogs there. I would like to focus on three interrelated issues. Useful and salvageable shelter dogs are being euthanized needlessly when they could be trained for service dogs. Some correctional facilities have implemented service dog programs, and they do utilize shelter dogs in their programs. And there's an unmet need for service dogs by the disabled and certain organizations that use these dogs. Now that I have revealed the point of my speech, let me tell you how I came to these conclusions. The ASPCA, which is the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, has collected some statistics. There are over 5,000 community shelters nationwide, and there's nobody that is keeping up with statistics of these shelters and the protection of these animals. Over 5 to 7 million animals enter these shelters annually. 60% of these dogs are euthanized, 25% are purebred, and 20% of these animals that are left at a shelter were adopted at a shelter. ADDIE, which is the Assistance Dogs International, is the only organization that helps develop standards for these working animals. They tell us that only 1 out of 500 shelter dogs will become a service dog, but they do have other abilities. Some of these dogs have a great sense of smell and could become a good scent dog. So far I have spoken about the shelter's dog's plight, but let me share my point of view on the prison programs. These death row dogs get a second chance from the prisoners. And these prisoners in the process are changed by their interaction with these dogs. The prisoners learn communication, life, and job skills. They also experience unconditional love from these animals. The dogs also have an impact on the inmates. Their conduct improves. Before the dogs, they logged in 70 conduct violations a month, and now they're down to 10 a month. These dogs learn to socialize with people and other dogs, and that's the basis for them progressing to adoption and to other service programs. Another program called Project Pooch, which is based in Woodburn, Oregon, this takes place at the McLaurin Youth Correctional Facility. Here, these youth have taken 500 unwanted dogs and trained them successfully and placed them. But the best outcome is that these youth have not re-entered, once they're released from the facility, have not re-entered the penal system. Keeping these points in mind, I would like to share with you some of the groups that would benefit from the service dog. There are disabled individuals whose lives could be improved with a service dog. That's with activities of daily living as well as mobility. And some of these dogs are trained to sense seizure activity that might be impending. And these dogs are not cheap. The training actually takes about $20,000 to breed, raise, train, certify, and place these dogs. The waiting list is usually, it can be more than 2 years once they apply for a service dog, and it's all based on what the job the dog is going to be performing, the size that's required, and the temperament of the dog. Another program is called Pause for a Cause with a Cause, and these are for our veterans. And these veterans are waiting up to 4 years for a post-traumatic stress disorder dog. Michael Sapp, who is the CEO of this program, is concerned about organizations that might be popping up trying to meet the demand for these veterans, and they might not have enough experience in the field of training these dogs, nor may they be certified. I believe that these dogs, these shelter dogs, deserve a long and happy life, and in order to do that, they have to become adoptable, and they have to learn to trust again, to socialize, and to become a well-trained dog. More programs need to be implemented to salvage these shelter dogs, and we do this first by removing them from their death sentence out of the shelters, second by placing them in the prison setting that transforms the dogs and the inmates, and third by decreasing the wait time of these individuals who need the dog as well as the organizations that use these dogs. Remember my experience with putting my dog to sleep? Many of these shelter dogs are young, they're scared, and they're facing death alone. They're not just another statistic. They are not just another animal that's disposable to be discarded in the trash. Not a day goes by that I do not think of our Zoe, think of those that could be saved. Thank you.